per chiedergli che cos'è per loro il 7 ottobre. Each one of you, I would like to tell us what's your point of view, what is the meaning of that date, October the 7th, for you both. First.
Buongiorno. Thank you for coming here today. I'm very moved, I have to tell you. I'm very moved to see you all here upstairs. Good morning. You being here, it shows that you care, and it's a strengthening message to the people of Israel 3.5 months after the war started. So thank you so much for being here. Grazie. The 7th of October was mostly, for us Israelis, a breaking point. A breaking point because we thought that in spite of differences that we have in the political field, in spite of the differences that we have on a daily basis between us, Israelis, Jews and Arabs, seculars and religious, we have a strong army and a strong security establishment. And 7th of October was a shock. It was a trauma. And for me, and for many other Israelis, millions of Israelis, it's a moment of losing the naivety in the fact that we can live in a perception that what we want to have, a strong Israel, is also what our neighbors want to have. Unfortunately, and I'm saying that with sorrow, unfortunately we learned on the 7th of October that with all our dreams of peace, unfortunately we have to prepare for war. And this is a very hard moment, a very frightening moment and a scary moment for us Israelis. But it's also a moment of hope when we saw millions of Israelis in one moment just come up, show up, go to their bases. Citizens doing everything they can, including Arab citizens, Arab Israelis saying, today, more than ever, we are Israelis. That's a beacon of hope for a brighter future, for a stronger future for us Israelis. From the lowest point, we get perhaps to a better point. That's 7th of October in a nutshell.
Ali.
Good morning. Well, for me, the 7th of October was another reminder of the fact that the circle of violence should get to its end. I will start by presenting myself. I'm a very proud Muslim Arab citizen of the state of Israel, and I think that the Palestinians have the full right to fight for their independence by all means, but none of the methods used on October 7th are included in how I see the definition of all means. I think that the right of the Palestinians to their state was harmed by what happened on October 7th, by the method used on October 7th. I don't think that kidnapping babies serve in any mean the right of the Palestinians to have their own state. I don't think that killing civilians serve in any mean the right of the Palestinian to have their own state and to live in dignity side by side with the state of Israel. But unlike Attila, I don't think that the 7th of October was a wake-up call from naivety. I think it was a very tough reminder of the fact that we need to think how we should put an end to this conflict. By the way, the amazing performance of musicians you saw since the beginning of this morning was a protest song against another war, the war of Lebanon, in which Israelis, Arab and Jews, Palestinians and Israelis, thousands of them lost their life. So I think, yes, Israel have the right to defend itself, but I think defense should not include only military and should not include the army. Defense should include also an offensive toward peace. As for Arab Israelis, I think we were in this very painful celebration that took place, the party that took place, Arab were killed there, Arab were kidnapped to Gaza, and Arab were part of the medicals and doctors who, after the attack, tried to do everything in order to save lives of people who were injured in the 7 October attack. So we are citizens of the State of Israel. Everything that harmed the State of Israel has also a huge impact over us, and the most important impact is the discourse of hatred. I think we should not mix between supporting the right of Palestinians to have their own state with not respecting the right of the State of Israel to exist in peace. When I see people, radicals from both sides, talking from the river to the sea, it is a very romantic slogan, but it is also a very dangerous slogan, because it means that we will keep living from another war to another war. So this is why I'm opposed to this slogan.
Thank you, Ali. Attila, Ali said that we have to find a way to put an end to the conflict, and maybe not only with military means. How is it possible? How is it possible? Set aside the solution that said we have to push all the Palestinians outside Gaza and send them in Egypt or everywhere. Don't talk about that. But how is it possible to rebuild a situation in which the mutual trust can be rebuilt again? How is it possible to envisage in the next, I don't know how many years, Israeli and Palestinian can live next to each other?
Trust was destroyed on the 7th of October. Even if before the 7th of October, trust wasn't high. Many Israelis lost their confidence in making peace. And we had politicians for many years, on both sides, I have to say, Palestinians and Israelis alike, that did everything possible to destroy the dream of peace. Negotiations were not going on for many years. Politicians, cynical politicians, used every matter possible in order to make the Palestinian issue in Israel disappear, like it's not there. Everything, we can manage, right, the conflict. We don't have to solve the conflict. And it went deep and deep and deep, and we thought that we can flourish, and Israel can be a very strong economy, and we can fly to Rome every second day, and we can live and buy and dream, and high-tech nation, and startup nation, and so on. So there is trust that has to be built back. It's going to take years. This is why I think what the American government is doing, the administration is doing right now, is a big mistake. The American administration is trying to push the Israelis towards a two-state solution, which is totally unacceptable by 70% of Israelis these days. Who could blame them? Who here can say that we have to blame, or we can blame the Israelis for not conceding or not withdrawing from any place anymore in the next few years? Because in 2005 we withdrew from Gaza. I was very pro-disengagement. Disengagement meaning withdrawing military, dismantling settlements, and letting the Palestinians do their own land, build their own state. Showing us, the Jews, the Israelis, how wrong we were for being there for so many years. 8 days after the disengagement, after Israel withdrew, rockets were fired at Israel. And since then, since 2005, thousands and tens of thousands of rockets were fired towards Israel. So the dream of peace is there. Everybody wants peace. I don't know, I myself, I don't know normal Israelis that would like to live with their swords in their hands. They want a peace, they want to live, they want to build, they want to travel, they want to have a successful startup nation. And what the leadership should do is rebuild the trust on both sides. But for the first time in my history as a journalist, as an Israeli citizen, I'm saying, I want to see the Palestinians do the first steps. I want to see them destroy the books, the education books, and change them into books, Ali, my friend, that teach the Palestinian children that Israel is not the Satan, but the neighbor. A neighbor you have to live with, not to kill. I want to see a society next to me, in Gaza, in Ramallah, in Jenin, wherever you want, that is teaching the children to study cyber, to study AI, to go and meet other people, not to get mock rifles in their hands when they are 3 years old. If we do these steps, I myself will be at the outfront of fighting for peace. But if the society, the Palestinian society, won't change, and the 7th of October is a mark, a dark mark, a black mark in history for the Palestinian people. Ali said it before. It's not helping the Palestinian. It's destroying every moment of trust, every second of trying to get to a normal society in the other side. That has to change in order to achieve peace. It has to change now, today, here. No more excuses. Terrorism can't have excuses. We as Israelis won't accept that. And I'm talking as a man who is a lefty. I'm talking as a man who wants peace. I'm talking as an Israeli who would like to go with Ali to Ramallah and even to Gaza to have hummus. But for that, now it's their turn. Palestinians, you are first to do the right thing now for peace.
Ali, can you believe that Palestinians are ready to make that first step that Attila was saying? Are they ready now or in the next future, in the foreseeable future, to decide that they want to work for peace and not to work, and they don't work to work for war as they have done since 7th of October?
Okay, I decided this morning not to go into political discussions, since the October 7th is something that should be condemned, whether by people who are supporting the Palestinians and supporting the Israelis. Humans should condemn what happened on October 7th. And discourse about who should make the first step is not something that serves the agenda that wants to go towards peaceful solution. I think that we should focus on October 7th and what happened and why did it happen. By the way, Secretary General of the UN said that the October 7th did not take place in a vacuum. It was a result of a long process that forbidden the Palestinians to have their self-determination and to live in dignity. I think the Palestinians did make the first step when they recognized the state of Israel in the Oslo Agreement. Until this moment, the state of Israel did not recognize the right of the Palestinians to have their own state. But I'm afraid that when the Hamas guys hear Attila saying that 70% of Israelis are right now opposed to a Palestinian state, Hamas are very well satisfied, because hope means that the agenda of Hamas will not be on the table. Peace means that radicals are not legitimate actors. In order to fight radicalism, we need to fight them with hope. I think that a Palestinian state is not the interest of Palestinians exclusively. Priorly, it's the interest of the Israelis, because Hamas do not believe in a Palestinian state. Hamas doesn't believe in peace between Israelis and Palestinians. Hamas do not believe in peace between Jews and Arabs. This is why I'm afraid that this discourse is based only on the pain of what happened on October 7th. Our role as Arab Israelis is, one, to say that what happened on October 7th was something that we cannot forgive, but second, that what happened on October 7th should be a base for a renaissance that will forbid this kind of organizations to play a role in the society. I think that in order to fight Hamas, in order to fight radical agendas, we need to put another agendas. We are in a race, by the way. I believe that we are in a race against the October 7th that will take place in 10 or 20 years. When we say that Israel have the right to defend itself, I totally agree. By the way, I will tell you something very personal. I have 12 family members killed in Gaza. And I have friends of mine wounded they are soldiers, they are wounded when they are serving in Gaza. So we, the Arabs in Israel, are stuck between both sides. And I cried when I heard about my family relations killed in Gaza, and I cried when I see the woman of the cameraman who I worked with in our TV channel, crying. She was pregnant, by the way, crying, and now she has a baby. So, and he recovered. But the discourse of no and lack of trust, etc., doesn't lead us to any point. I think the main goal is to do everything that the next October 7th will never happen. And when we say we lost trust, so we don't think that it is good to think about the solution, well, Attila said, in order to find a solution, instead of finding a solution, we try to manage the conflict. We need to solve the conflict, and solving the conflict in a way that respects the full right of the State of Israel to exist as a homeland of the Jewish people, with the full right of the Palestinians to live in dignity. And I think you, here in Europe, you passed two World War that has nothing to compare with what we've been through in October 7th, and you manage to make everything to find a way to live together. The goal is to find the way to live together. As I told you, I'm an Arab in the state of Israel. People maybe don't know, but 40% of doctors and people working in medical and paramedical field are Arabs. Almost 50% of engineers in the state of Israel are Arab. The head of the board of the biggest bank in Israel until 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago was an Arab.
So this is very interesting. So this is the apartheid state that people is talking about. It doesn't seem like an apartheid state, if you tell us so.
I live in Israel. I have kids in the universities, and even if there were moments that Arab Israelis suffered from some discrimination, as, for example, also Jews from Eastern origin suffered from some discrimination, I never felt that we are in an apartheid state inside the state of Israel. We can work in any field. We can study everything. We can live wherever we want. So I suggest those who want to help the Palestinians to choose the good narrative, to choose the right terms, and not to make Israel only a big evil. There are many things to correct. There are things that should come to its end, including the occupation in the 1967 border. But between this and between making Israel the whole Satan, I think there is a huge difference.
Thank you, Ali. Attila, it seems to me that there is one focus point and one main point of view both agree, that the problem is Hamas, and Hamas has to be eradicated, has to be eliminated in Gaza and wherever. Without this, nothing can be moved forward. Is it that the problem, and how to do this, how to do that, and what happens after?
Most Israelis, and I think even normal people in the world, in Europe, in the States, everywhere, understand and understood on the 7th of October who is the real enemy of peace. And the real enemy of peace are the terrorists and the radicals and those who will always say no to everything, and they will always try to polarize the situation and polarize the discussion and the societies. Hamas is an organization that we call now Nazi, right? And when you have a Nazi organization, you have to destroy it totally and to eradicate it from Earth. That's first of all. How we do that, I do not believe that there is only one element that can do that. It's not only Israel going on and fighting Hamas to the destruction. And this is why I go back to the Palestinian society. And this is why I go back to Arab society. And this is why I call upon you, Europeans, to be a bridge, to be the voice of reason, and not to be only objectives in judging the situation. Last night I had a very interesting conversation with a young man, and I talked to him like for 2 hours. And I heard the narratives, the perceptions that people have, and I'm not blaming him, by the way. He's a very smart guy. But we were talking, and he was shooting at me translations of TikTok and Instagram movies. And I was a little bit aback, you know, I was like, wow, all this information coming from these sources. This is super dangerous. The perception of the conflict that people have around the globe about Israel and the Palestinians is totally wrong. It's not really, it's filtered through TikTok, for example, that is a Chinese agent. And TikTok became an agent of influence for the Chinese government that is trying to destabilize, exactly like the Russians did, the Soviets did during the last century, in the 20th century, when they tried to destabilize with active measures and disinformation the entire West. They did it in Germany, in Italy, in France, in America, wherever they could. And they had operations for that. This is what today you see the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians trying to do in Israel and in the Middle East. And you'll hear about Qatar also. You'll hear about Qatar also, who is one huge agent of destabilization of the Middle East. So Hamas, if you want to destroy Hamas, you have to fight it on the front. But not only on the military front. You have to fight in the civil front. And the Palestinians are and have the obligation to be the first. And you, Ali, your friends, yourself and your friends, Arab Israelis, Palestinians, you have the obligation to clean the Palestinian society of terrorists. Because you are saying that resolving the conflict is important, and I agree with you. And you say that violence is not the way. I agree with you. But when you are attacked, you have to fight back. And I expect the Palestinians to clean their own surroundings from terrorism, from hate, from incitement, from hating Jews, from calling people that are not Muslims infidels. What do you do with infidels? You kill them. You butcher them. I'm not infidel. Nobody is infidel because I don't think like you. This narrative has to be destroyed. You want peace? The way to peace is like Europe after 1945. Denazification of the Palestinian Authority, denazification of Gaza, destroying the narratives of hate, of hating Jews, of anti-Semitism, of anti-Westernism, of society, of humanism. That has to disappear. That has to disappear. It's a big change, I know. It's going to take time. It's a matter of culture sometimes. It's a matter of something that is very deep-rooted. But you cannot accept or expect Israel to say, I'm handing my hands out for peace. And on the other hand, you see somebody pulling a Kalashnikov to shoot him. That's not the way to make peace. You want to make peace? Shook my hand, say salam, say shalom, say peace, and let's work together for peace. Don't shoot me, don't stab me, don't rape my kids, don't rape my women, don't burn my houses down. Don't bake children in ovens. Don't decapitate persons. That's not the way for peace, Ali. I'm sorry. You want peace? Clean your society. Clean it now. That's the way for peace. That's the only path for peace.
Ali, I give you the last word. Is that the point? Do you agree with Attila? Is that the point that Palestinians have to meet?
It is the point. When I talk with my Palestinian friends, I remind them that when the State of Israel was created, and there were some radical Jewish movements that refused the creation of the State of Israel and of the foundation of one army for all Israelis. And when these radical movements insisted on bringing arms to Israel-Palestina, the Israeli army bombarded these ships of Israelis trying to question the new state and one united army. But the Israelis did it because they had a hope. They had a state in which they knew that they are going to build their society. For the moment when we go in Gaza and when we go in the West Bank, people have no hope. By the way, a survey that was made a couple of days before the October 7th showed that if elections would have taken place in Gaza, only 29% of the Palestinians would vote for Hamas. A very serious institution that led this survey. I think, yes, and I do believe that most of the Palestinians maybe still have the dream of seeing Israel disappearing. But I think that the current situation is strengthening this dream, and the Israelis, it's very nice to talk about peace. By the way, the Israeli peacemaker was killed not by Palestinians, he was killed by Israelis, Attila. So let's be fair when we talk. The October 7th was a crime. The October 7th was a massacre. The October 7th is something that no one can accept, even if it is taken part or being told that it is part of a right and fair struggle. But I think that we should emphasize on the fact that unless there is hope in the region, and I do remember I read many books about leftist radicals here in Italy carrying attacks, and they were part of the Palestinian Revolution. Same for France, the brigades in Germany, the Red Japanese army, and this is why young people are not always seeing the whole image, and they are supporting and support what only they see in TikTok. We need to change the reality that is filmed in TikTok, Attila. We don't need to change TikTok. We need to change the reality that is shot in these videos and in these movies. And it is right to say we need to fight Hamas. But we saw that every 15, 20 years, there is around the war of 48, the war of 67, 73, 82, Intifada of 2000, Intifada of 2000, of 87, and in between the war in Lebanon in 2006. And the common thing of all these wars is that this conflict is not solved. And I call upon Israelis to do everything to solve the conflict, and I call upon Palestinians and Arab to recognize the right of the state of Israel to exist.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's very important for Israel. Thank you so much. Grazie.